After City's loss in Madrid, Guardiola's personal Champions League drought will now stretch into a 12th year. He must think he is cursed. It is the night that will stalk Pep Guardiola for the rest of his days. You can pay him £19 million a year, you can find him a battalion of luminously gifted players in every position, but you can never salve the pain he will experience at losing out on a Champions League final with 2 goals in 2 minutes. His mission had been to purge Manchester City of their former naivety. And for 90 minutes here at a seething Bernabeu, his team discharged their duty. But they then threw it all away, suffering an injury-time implosion to rival even Bayern Munich's at the Nou Camp 23 years earlier, threatened to leave this most meticulous of managers with a deep psychological scar. With his non-public Champions League drought now destined to stretch into at least a 12th year, he must wonder if he is cursed. Perhaps it is a sign that you can spend billions on transforming City from Manchester's poor family members into one of the twin titans of English football, but that you still can't erase their time-honored gift for self-sabotage. On this evidence, it is as wired into their identity as the refrains of Blue Moon. City had the result of this semi-final settled seemingly beyond doubt. Their fans, up in the highest reaches of this deafening amphitheater, were ready to check hotel costs in Paris for the night of May 28. But 2 lapses in concentration, of the type they had avoided all night, set the platform for 2 goals. That the decisive punishment was delivered in extra time, through Karim Benzema's nonchalant penalty, felt nothing less than a cruel inevitability. If the wounds are so raw for Guardiola, it is because this was exactly the nightmarish ending he had toiled to avert. He dared to believe, with a 1-0 lead after 90 minutes normal time courtesy of Riyad Mahrez's strike, that he had made City streetwise in Europe at last. His blueprint was always rooted in the pursuit of majestic football, no matter the provocations of his opponents. But in opposition to Real Madrid, he propelled his players into a different dimension, drilling them in the sometimes ignoble art of triumphing a Champions League semi-final on hostile turf. Whether it was Ederson turning goal kicks into elaborate gardening exercises, or Aymeric Laporte crumpling beneath a Luka Modric push, as if floored by a Tyson Fury uppercut, City proved here that they were not too proud to indulge in shameless skullduggery. The approach so almost worked to perfection. Mahrez exploited the first opening he saw, while Real were restricted largely to desperate pot shots by Vinicius Jr. But in some ways City reckoned without Rodrigo, the Spanish champion's electrifying substitute. If his first goal at the death set off panic amongst the guys in blue, the second left them in a punch-drunk daze. The distinction in demeanor between managers was stark as the huddles began for extra time. Carlo Ancelotti was so laconic that he just gave a few gruff phrases of motivation, leaving most of the work to his assistant. Guardiola, by contrast, was manic, gesticulating wildly, eyeballing one player after another, challenging them to regather their composure. But by then they were in an irrecoverable mental funk. Benzema's splendidly insouciant spot kick merely magnified the punishment. For so long, City had seemed hell-bent on playing Real at their own game. Even Ancelotti, who observes fits as impassively as he would a waiter pouring his favorite wine, became irked by the age Ederson was taking to clear his lines. No one, though, was quite as well versed in the time-wasting antics as Laporte. No sooner did Modric poke him lightly in the chest than the Frenchman toppled like a redwood, writhing with a thespian's flourish that even Diego Simeone would have admired. Dressed head to toe in black, Guardiola even looked like Simeone, the figure to whom he has constantly been the perfect antithesis. If City could soak up the roughhousing they received against Simeone's Atletico in the quarter-final, they would definitely withstand Real's worst instincts to reach a second successive final. The time for romanticism had passed. Guardiola, needing a European Cup to complete his otherwise all-conquering reign at the Etihad, eschewed any notion of aesthetic purity. For 74 minutes they harried and rattled Real, with Benzema a pale imitation of his usual lethal self. Then, with one devastating break down the right, Mahrez pounced. Vindication? As it turned out, it was only a prelude to the great, Rodrigo engineered another magical night, declared one of the huge canopies that Real Madrid's ultras are so fond of unfurling, Benzema and Modric knee-sliding in front of them at the final whistle. Except for City, and Guardiola in particular, there was no air of enchantment. There was solely the longest, grisliest night of the soul. If you are new to my channel, kindly subscribe, like, share, comment and press on the notification bell for latest news outlines.